Hello everyone, today in this lecture I am going to explain line by line the famous poem, O Captain My Captain, written by Walt Whitman, but if you are new to my channel then please like and subscribe the channel, so you will get my new lectures. Let's start it. O Captain my Captain, our fearful trip is done. In this opening line, Walt Whitman addresses the Abraham Lincoln who is called Captain. You should not be confused about the phrase, fearful trip, which refers to the Civil War that caused immense suffering and division in the United States. Whitman is expressing relief that this difficult journey is finally over. The phrase, our fearful trip is done, means that the nation has survived the war, and the worst is behind them. Simply, you can say that in this line Whitman is addressing his leader Abraham Lincoln and saying that the Civil War has finished. And it was a difficult journey, but finally it has come to an end. And then says, the ship has weathered every wrack, the prize we sought is won. Here first you should know that the ship represents the United States, which has faced countless hardships during the Civil War. The prize we sought refers to the Union's victory and the abolition of slavery, which were the primary goals of the war. So Whitman is celebrating the fact that the nation has achieved these goals, but he also hints at the heavy cost of this victory. In other words, you can say that he is saying that finally they won the prize which they wanted to win. And then says, the port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting. Look at this line carefully and you should not be confused because the port symbolizes peace and the end of the war. So Whitman describes the joy and relief of the people as they celebrate the Union's victory. The ringing bells and the exulting crowds create an image of a nation coming together to celebrate its hard-won success. However, this joy is bittersweet because of the tragedy that follows. While follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. The steady keel refers to the ship's stability, and the vessel grim and daring suggests that the United States has been strong, resilient, and courageous throughout the war. Actually, people are watching the ship with admiration, recognizing the nation's strength and determination. This line emphasizes the pride and respect the people feel for their country and its leaders. But oh heart, heart, heart! Whitman now shifts to a tone of deep sorrow. The repetition of heart emphasizes his emotional pain, as if his heart is breaking. This line marks the turning point in the poem, where the celebration is overshadowed by grief. Oh, the bleeding drops of red! The bleeding drops of red symbolize blood, indicating that something tragic has happened. This image creates a stark contrast to the earlier celebration, introducing a sense of loss and tragedy. The red drops also evoke the violence and sacrifice of the Civil War. Where on the deck my captain lies. It means that the captain, Abraham Lincoln, is lying on the deck of the ship. This suggests that he has fallen or died, which is a shocking and heartbreaking moment. The word lies implies that Lincoln's death is sudden and unexpected, adding to the sense of tragedy. Fallen cold and dead. This line confirms Lincoln's death. The words, cold and dead, emphasize the finality of his passing, creating a somber and mournful tone. Whitman is expressing the nation's grief over the loss of its beloved leader. O Captain! My Captain! Rise up and hear the bells! Whitman desperately calls out to Lincoln, urging him to wake up and join in the celebration. Actually, the bells symbolize victory and joy, but Lincoln cannot hear them because he is no longer alive. This line reflects Whitman's disbelief and longing for Lincoln to witness the fruits of his leadership. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills. Whitman continues to plead with Lincoln, saying that the flag is raised and the bugle, a musical instrument, is playing in his honor. These are signs of respect and celebration, but Lincoln cannot respond. The phrase, "for you," emphasizes that the victory and the celebrations are dedicated to Lincoln, making his absence even more painful. You can say that Whitman is calling his captain that to stand up because the war has finished and you have become victorious, and people are celebrating the victory. And then says, "For you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores a crowding." It means that the people are bringing flowers and decorative wreaths to honor Lincoln. The shores are crowded with people celebrating, but Lincoln is no longer alive to see it. This line highlights the irony of the situation. The nation is celebrating a victory that Lincoln made possible, but he is not there to share in the joy. For you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. It means that the crowd is calling out for Lincoln, their faces filled with excitement and admiration. However, Lincoln cannot answer their calls. The phrase, swaying mass, suggests a large, enthusiastic crowd, but their joy is incomplete without Lincoln's presence. "Here, Captain. Dear Father." Whitman now refers to Lincoln as "Dear Father," showing a deep personal connection. Lincoln was not just a leader but also a fatherly figure to the nation. This line reflects the love and respect Whitman and the American people felt for Lincoln. "This arm beneath your head." Now in this line Whitman imagines holding Lincoln's head, trying to comfort him or wake him up. This gesture shows love and care, but it is also heartbreaking because Lincoln is already gone. The image of Whitman cradling Lincoln's head adds a deeply personal and emotional layer to the poem. And then says, "It is some dream that on the deck." Whitman is in denial, hoping that Lincoln's death is just a dream. This reflects the shock and disbelief that often accompany loss. The word "dream" suggests that Whitman cannot fully accept the reality of Lincoln's death. Simply, you can say that he is not ready to accept that his leader has died and it seems to him as dream and not reality. And then says, "You've fallen cold and dead." Now in this line he reluctantly accepts the reality that Lincoln has died. The repetition of "cold and dead" reinforces the finality of his passing and the depth of Whitman's grief. "My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still." It means that Lincoln is unresponsive, and his pale lips show that he is no longer alive. This line emphasizes Whitman's grief and helplessness. The word "still" suggests a profound silence, highlighting the absence of Lincoln's voice and leadership. "My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will." In this line the Piat again refers to Lincoln as "father," highlighting their close bond. Actually, Lincoln cannot feel Whitman's touch, and his lack of a pulse confirms his death. The phrase, "no pulse nor will," emphasizes the finality of death and the loss of Lincoln's guiding presence. And then says, "The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done." It means that the United States has successfully completed its journey through the Civil War and is now safely anchored. This symbolizes the end of the struggle, but the victory feels hollow because of Lincoln's death. The phrase, "safe and sound," contrasts with the earlier tragedy, underscoring the bittersweet nature of the victory. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. It means that the nation has achieved its goal. It refers to that act of reserving the Union and ending slavery, but Whitman is too grief-stricken to fully celebrate. The contrast between victory and loss is deeply poignant, reflecting the complexity of the nation's emotions. In other words, you can say that the dangerous trip of the ship has ended and it achieved its main goal, and now everything is okay, but the leader is no more among them. And then says, "Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells." Here he tells the shores to celebrate and the bells to ring, acknowledging the victory. However, this is tinged with sadness because Lincoln is no longer alive to enjoy it. The word exult means to rejoice greatly, but Whitman's grief tempers this joy. But I with mournful tread. It means that while others celebrate, Whitman walks with a heavy heart. Mournful tread means walk with a heavy heart. Basically, this shows that he cannot share in the joy because of Lincoln's death. The word tread suggests slow, deliberate steps, reflecting Whitman's sorrow. Walk the deck my captain lies. It means that Whitman is on the deck where Lincoln's body lies. It emphasizes their closeness and the depth of his grief. Simply, the image of Whitman walking the deck adds a personal and intimate touch to the poem. And lastly he says, "Fallen cold and dead." Simply, you can say that the poem ends with the same tragic line. It shows the finality of Lincoln's death and Whitman's sorrow. Basically, the repetition of this line creates a haunting and memorable conclusion, leaving the reader with a sense of profound loss. I hope you must have enjoyed this lecture, but please don't forget like and subscription. Thank you.